Hello, I'm Dr. David Hamilton, and this is a reading from my book, The Joy of Actually Giving an F, and this is from Chapter 2, How Mindfulness Can Make You Selfish. As you know by now, I love mindfulness. It's like a workout for my brain, and I raved about its perks at the end of the previous chapter. But if we're talking about making our world, this giant floating rock in space that we all share, a bit friendlier, then mindfulness alone might not cut it. Traditional mindfulness was all about being a top-notch human, but once it ditched its old-school spiritual vibes, it lost some of that be nice to everyone memo. Now, I am not trash-talking mindfulness. For some it's an absolute game changer. It's like unplugging from the Matrix. Suddenly you're stopping to smell the roses, lulled by birdsong and the buzzing of bees, even chanted by the sweet harmonies in a crowded room. But while mindfulness may give you enhanced spidey senses, it doesn't exactly hand out kindness badges. It makes you notice more. Whether you act on what you notice, well, that's down to you. And empathy has something to do with it. Enter kindfulness. Think of it as mindfulness 2.0. If you dive into the world of kindness, why it rocks, its health perks, its anti-blue mood powers, it's like levelling up. When you're kind-hearted and practice mindfulness, then it's like you've got this built-in GPS pointing you towards doing good. But here's the twist. Without the kindness chip, mindfulness can sometimes backfire. Some people might end up, well, not so nice. Still, you don't have to take my word for it. The science is all there. Mind stretching. Empathy is usually a starting point for kindness. It's your I feel with you meter. Some call it the stock in friendship soup. It's the first step before a hug. You've got to feel before you squeeze, so to speak. It's usually only once you empathise with someone's situation that you feel moved to help them. So here's an important question that some researchers had. Would people naturally high in empathy be kinder after mindfulness than people low in empathy? Well, in an experiment carried out by some researchers, participants had their dispositional empathy measured, and then some were taught mindfulness meditation, some listened to classical music, and some attended 2 lectures on empathy and giving help to others. The latter 2 groups were included for comparison purposes. Afterwards, they were all presented with a situation. They listened to a fake radio interview about a girl named Anna. Now, Anna was having a crappy time. She'd just lost her job and she had a disability. Besides all that going on, she was trying to complete her undergrad degree. The question was how much the participants would care about Anna's situation. How willing would they be to help a real-life Anna after practicing mindfulness? And would this relate to their level of dispositional empathy? Well, the results were clear. Mindfulness was linked with kind behaviour. More people were kind after practicing mindfulness than if they'd listened to Beethoven or watched a TED Talk on empathy. But here is the caveat. This was only the case if you were high in empathy. As I said earlier, the scientists had measured dispositional empathy to begin with. It turned out that mindfulness only increases kind behaviour if you're already high in empathy. And here's the stinker. If you're low in empathy, mindfulness meditation seems to have the opposite effect. It makes you less kind and more self-absorbed. Even though mindfulness helps us notice more, it's down to our empathy levels, whether we'll act on what we notice or not. After practicing mindfulness, people low in empathy gave even less of it and who were less likely to help those like Anna than people who hadn't done any mindfulness at all. So what it comes down to is this. Whether mindfulness results in kindness has less to do with mindfulness itself and more to do with our existing personality. Even though it sharpens our alertness and gives us enhanced spidey senses, our natural empathy is the deciding factor on whether we'll help others or not. Mindfulness acts like a stretching exercise, only for the mind instead of the body. It extends us further into who we already are. Another way to look at it, as some researchers have argued, is that it stretches you in the direction of your personal values. If your values include empathy, kindness, friendship, honesty, dependableness, things like that, then mindfulness will make you kinder. But if they don't, if your values are more about personal achievement, competence, strength, that sort of stuff, then there's a good chance that mindfulness will make you more self-absorbed. And from that self-absorbed state, well, you're far less likely to notice the pregnant woman on the train who needs a seat, the person approaching the door as you let it close mindlessly, or the elderly guy at the store who's struggling to reach a box of cornflakes on the top shelf. Mindfulness is a bit like a mind selfie. It gives you a snapshot of who you are, but on the inside, except that it also enlarges the image. If you're a kind person, it will tease kindness out of you even more. Great! As I said, I love mindfulness, and there's a lot of kind people out there who become kinder when they practice it. But if you're not naturally kind, the opposite can happen. Or, as some scholars have noticed, people who are self-absorbed become even more self-absorbed. Narcissists who practice mindfulness become more narcissistic. This was cross-checked with some other research, and the authors even wrote of the result. Mindfulness backfired among those who seemed to need it the most. People who were narcissistic became less empathetic after a short mindfulness session, less kind, and more self-absorbed. There are, of course, some limitations in the above pieces of research, and I don't want to gloss over this. Offering up a seat to someone isn't the same as giving money or doing volunteer work, for example, so we can't take these results as if they absolutely 100% apply to every real-life situation. But there's enough research to show us that it's likely to be generally true. Also, while some people with autistic traits tend to be lower in empathy, the above cross-checking paper found that people with higher levels of autistic traits actually became kinder after meditation. I'm Dr. David Hamilton, and that was a reading from my book, The Joy of Actually Giving an F.